Obviously it's about Salon Punk and being established since 1999. We've been going through year after year and going through some of the things that you've done, you created, and obviously as we did, you kept sharing with me that that was my really cool moment, and that worked really well with clients, and I should have done it maybe differently. What else can I do? That's all about salon industry and helping salon clients, get busy, etc. Obviously based on your ex-hairdressing experience. So it's just going to be really quick questions I wanted to ask about your experience of Salon Punk since 1999. So the first question is, it's not even a question, it's about my Salon Punk. So if you want to share with people.
Well, Salon Punk wasn't originally called Salon Punk, of course. It was called hairy.com. Unfortunately, I forgot to renew the domain name in 2007. So I lost the domain name, and then it was renamed Salon Punk overnight. So the whole history of Salon Punk goes back to online 1999. But everything that is in Salon Punk was actually started when I really first discovered how to kickstart my first salon in 1989 was a mini disaster in as much as I had no idea what I was doing. So by the year 89, 91, I'd been on a couple of courses and read a couple of books on how to make your salon really work. So by 1991 I was ready to move premises from 250 square feet to 2,000 square feet. So that was the initial history, and really going through from 1989 up until 2003 was when I sold my last salon. In total there was 3 salons. So Salon Punk, most people probably won't realise, but it's really a behind the scenes history of what was going on in my own salons. And I'm kind of honoured to say that I've done the same things in many hundreds of salons since my own salons. So that's kind of the rough history up until today.
So what would you say would be, if you were to just kind of say to yourself, oh, that's been my best idea? So what would that be?
Salon Punk?
Yeah.
Well, I think the one thing when you have a salon is you have a lot of people coming in telling you what to do. And if you're a little bit inexperienced, you tend to listen to what everybody tells you. So people will say, sell more retail, it'll make the salon busy. Do this, it'll make the salon busy. Buy more colour, it'll make the salon busy. Now, buy more retail and buy more colour will make the salon busy, but only if everything else is working in the background. Without a shadow of a doubt, my biggest moment in marketing my salon was probably 2 things. It's one thing, but I'll just break it into 2. One was simplifying and listening to what I knew myself. So just simplifying everything, because marketing seemed to become increasingly complicated from people trying to, they were really trying to sell me things, which I understand because it was things I needed. But at the same time, as a young salon owner, it was confusing me massively. And the second thing was to put it into one system. So that, as in Salon Punk I talk about my stack system. So the stack system totally transformed the salons, completely. And it was never really changed, it was never really modernised either for 17 years. But the only question I used to ask myself was, does it work?
Well, you just mentioned stack marketing, so very briefly, what is it all about?
In the early days of the salon, again, we used to believe that, I'd learned and been told that if you put an advert in the paper, you will get busy, so you put an ad in the paper. if you do a flyer or a leaflet drop, you'll get busy. So I did a flyer or a leaflet drop. And these days, you know, we see it so often now, so often. If you have a Facebook account, you'll get busy. If you do an Instagram, you'll get busy. But the fact is, just doing one thing alone just does not make the salon busy. So the reason for that is different markets or different types of people. So a 16-year-old and a 25-year-old and a 35-year-old and a 45 and 55, they all read different mediums. So to make the salon busy in 2016 and beyond, and what I learned again in my salons was, if you have a stack, it covers everything. So I used to have a stack. I mean, I know I teach a 12-stack system, but we used to have roughly, it was about 18 or 20 things on the stack. So 18 different approaches to marketing had to be done every day without fail, and it was done in a stack. And I even had a tick list, so each one was ticked off. Something as simple as part of the stack was something like, have the A boards gone out? Because some people walk past the A board. We used to have a car park sign, because we had a 400 car park behind. Has the car park signs gone out? That was another part of the stack. Are the leaflets at each stylist's station? The referral leaflets, and again that was part of the stack. But we had a ton of stuff that the receptionist and manager, they had 30 minutes every morning to prepare the stack. Mm-hmm. And of course, I just want to say, not everybody has a receptionist. So when I didn't have the receptionist or the manager, I did it myself. So there's no excuse.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, and talking about ideas, what would you say was your really worst idea?
Worst?
Yeah. Or maybe you can call it a mistake or something you think you shouldn't have done.
Yeah.
Or done better.
I think it's a hard question to answer. Really. Probably one of the most useless things I did in a hairdressing salon was put a beauty salon in there. Mm. Because a couple of reasons. One, although I was a qualified cosmetologist, which meant I could actually do beauty, I had the qualification. I had no interest and I knew nothing about it. So I went out and I spent a small fortune on fitting out 2 small rooms in the salon, which just became 1 room. It was 2 small rooms upstairs. I bought all the non-surgical facelift and collagen machines and waxing machines and everything. But the problem is I didn't know anything about it. And time and time again, the beauty therapists would either not book anyone in, they wouldn't recommend any work, they would always offer the cheapest service. And the one thing I lost money with, time and time again, was a beauty. Mm. So after about 2 or 3 years, I just closed it and I sold the equipment. Mm. That's probably the worst thing I did in the salon. I mean,
I suppose like the idea of focus what you're good at rather than diversify.
You know what we were brilliant at, and we trained for it, worked hard for it on redesign. And redesign for us wasn't about a new haircut, it was about a completely new look. So the redesign really meant that the lady could have a colour, straightener or whatever, because it was all part of the whole redesign. And that's what we were brilliant at, and we charged a lot for it.
Oh, what would you say that was, I suppose, like a quote to remember?
A quote?
Yeah, or you know, something so memorable, just like that really changed it for you.
We used to have, when I discovered to use taglines in the salon, our tagline was very simple: doing hair, having fun, and being number one. Mm. Now, the reason I would say it was memorable because it sounds so simple, but it took me a long time to think about it. Because I had to think about what we were doing. Well, we were all doing hair. The prime focus for me, apart from doing brilliant hair, was if the staff were not happy, they would keep leaving, because it's a big problem in the industry. Mm. So I wanted to make sure they were happy, and I wanted to make sure that we were number one. I mean, we entered a town with 35 salons, a brand new salon we were. Entered a town with 35 salons, some had been there for 40 years. But so I went there and my whole plan was, right, we're going to be number one. Come rain or shine, we're going to be number one. And Kevin, if you ever watch this video, I'm sorry. Because Kevin had the #1 salon and he was a hairdresser I was probably most jealous of. Not because I thought everything they were doing was great, but he was a brilliant hairdresser. And I loved everything about what he did as a hairdresser. But I didn't like the way the salon actually was. So doing hair, having fun, being #1 was probably how I would sum the salons up, because what was interesting was all the stylists knew it.
Mm.
And because we used to use a lot of bus or poster advertising, we had it everywhere. So if you're driving a car in the town, you would see doing hair, having fun, being #1 on the back of the bus. You would see it on billboards, you would see it in shops, you'd see it everywhere. So that would be the big thing, really.
I suppose it makes sense, you know, like if it's a fun place to be, it's not just fun for clients, but it's fun for the team as well. So, which, yeah, as you said, so we do get asked a lot of questions about stuff.
Yeah.
Anyway, so, and finally, what's next?
What's next? Well,
What's next for Salon Punk?
for Salon Punk, well, I think one of the biggest problems we have in the industry right now is misinformation overload, without question. You know, we had over 70 salon owners in the Salon Punk HQ this summer. Now, everybody had the same problem, which was, what do we do? And everybody is so smart and savvy now. Everybody has iPhones, iPads, computer systems. They're doing this, they're doing that, they're doing brilliant colours, brilliant haircuts, brilliant consultations, but they're still not busy enough. So what's next for Salon Punk is I'm just finishing a new programme. Should I mention it here, or shall I save it till it's launched?
You can give us a preview if you like.
Well, the preview is, I was asked the question, and I asked myself the same question time and time again, which was, if I only had one tool to build a salon, and there's no computers, nothing else, could I build a salon? And if I could, how would I do it with that one tool? This one program covers everything. Even if you still want to use your iPhone, your computer, send in mail through the post, it's probably the most simple and probably the most brilliant business building program that will ever be seen in hairdressing. And I am confident, after being in the salon industry since 1982, I'm confident in saying that, because it's stripped back and it is powerful.
Well, thank you, darling.
My pleasure.